Hi, I'm Georgina.
My company's manager, whom I worked for, destroyed everything when she fell in love with one of the new employees, despite being married. Well, let me tell you how all this happened. The story began when I went for a job interview at a company. I was happy to learn that the manager was a woman, not a man. I had grown tired of male managers harassing their employees or favoring some over others because of personal connections, and even more than that. I was immediately accepted due to my extensive experience and the well-known companies I had worked for. I started working after a few days. My responsibilities were numerous and significant, and my reference was the top of the hierarchy, Mrs. Maria. The manager visited my office to welcome me and give me the necessary instructions. I found her to be very kind and intelligent. As a supporter of women's progress in the business field, I was proud of her as well, despite the fact that she was around the same age as me. I considered her a role model and promised myself that we would form an effective duo. The first few months went smoothly, and I got used to the place, the employees, and the overall workflow. During this time, I contributed to increasing our revenues. I received congratulations, and I heard from some colleagues that I was among the candidates to take over Maria's position, as she was going to leave soon to join our main branch in New York. Of course, I was overjoyed because I saw it as a culmination of many years of hard work that had prevented me from starting a family of my own. I had no regrets because I had always preferred a career-focused life over a family-oriented one. However, I wanted to prove to the world that I hadn't made a wrong choice. Our society only sees women a tool for men's pleasure and baby-making machines. Don't misunderstand me. I don't underestimate the importance of being a mother, but we should have the freedom to choose our own path in life. The idea of promotion gave me a greater motivation to work day and night. I neglected my family and friends and deprived myself of any social life. The sacrifices were worth it, especially since I decided to take a break once I obtained the manager position. Then a new young man named Frank joined the company to work as my personal assistant, as Maria felt that I was overworking myself. I thanked her for this gesture and started briefing my assistant on the fundamentals of our work. I was surprised that the manager brought in a new employee. She could have assigned one of the secretaries who were familiar with me and the company, but I quickly forgot about it. Frank was diligent and a fast learner. I relied on him for many simple tasks because I didn't want to risk everything I had built. One day, Maria called me into her luxurious office and said, "And I don't know if I've told you this before, but I'm very grateful for your performance." "Thank you, madam. That's very kind of you." "It's the truth. Since you came, I feel like I can truly rely on a competent person." I reached her office feeling very happy. It meant that she recognized that I was the only one who could fill her shoes. I remember promising myself to buy a new car as soon as I received my first salary as a manager. But my joy was disrupted when my mother entered the hospital for a major operation, and I had to take leave. It was the first time in my life that I had been absent from work. I told myself it wouldn't be long and my mother would recover quickly. But reality proved otherwise, especially since she contracted bacteria in the operating room. She was swiftly transferred to the intensive care unit, and her days were in danger due to her advanced age. My married sister came to take my place near my mother, but she insisted on having me there because she was accustomed to having me at home. Faced with the severity of the situation, I no longer cared about being away from work because my mother's health and life were more important than anything else. About a month passed in this manner, and then I was able to return to the company. To my surprise, I saw Frank sitting at my desk, using my computer and files. "What are you doing here? Why aren't you in your office?"
"You were absent, and Mrs. Maria decided that I should take care of your files."
"But you're not qualified for that. You're my assistant, and you barely know the basics of the job."
"I learned from you. I observed you closely, and now I'm doing what needs to be done."
And here I am, back. I was very frustrated because any old employee could temporarily replace me. I hurriedly knocked on Maria's door. I entered and said to her without greeting her, "What is that young man doing in my place? He's just an assistant. If he makes any mistakes, we'll pay dearly." "Good morning. Listen, I'm the manager, and I decide who does what. Or did you forget that while you were away?" "I'm sorry, but the scene angered me. Of course, you have the right to do as you please. Accept my apology. I've had exhausting weeks. Anyway, I'm back and everything will go as planned. Frank returned to his office and position, and I returned to my work and my anger disappeared. But after 2 months, we received a memorandum stating that Maria would leave the company to go to the United States, and Frank would replace her. What? Frank, my assistant? I ran like crazy to the manager's office, but the door was locked even though she was inside. It was clear that she didn't want to talk to anyone, especially me. But after a few minutes, she called me on the phone. I know what you're saying about me, and I understand your disappointment. I'm sorry, but I made my decision, and there's no turning back. How can you hand over the company to a simple employee? It's true that I aspired to your position, but our work continuity is more important than anything else. Our hard work will go to waste. What's gotten into you? Maria didn't answer me, but hung up the phone. The manager left, and Frank took her chair, and I submitted my resignation. I didn't want to be part of that farce and receive orders from this intruder. While I was packing my personal belongings from my desk, one of the secretaries came and whispered, "A lot has happened while you were gone. Things involving the manager and Frank. Haven't you noticed how handsome he is?" Honestly, no. Yes, he's handsome, and he knows how to take advantage of it. Once you were gone, he started spending all his time in the manager's office, and sometimes she would lock the door with the key while he was with her. I can't believe that. Yes. Why do you think she brought him here? Because he's very attractive and young. Maria's married life is not ideal. Her husband is rude and much older than her. I'm telling you the truth. So Maria had preferred Frank over me because he had become her lover. But I doubted the validity of the matter because I knew how dedicated my manager was to her work and the company, and I couldn't imagine her sacrificing everything she had built due to a whim. I learned from the secretary herself that Maria was still in the country, waiting to finalize some transactions, so I decided to visit her at home. When she saw me standing in front of her, she said, "Let's go somewhere else to talk. I know why you're here." We sat in a cafe, and I said to her, "I heard news about a relationship between you and Frank. I have no business with your personal life, and I don't judge you, but I want to know if that was the reason for my dismissal and the destruction of the company." Tears filled her eyes, and she answered, "Yes and no. It's true that I became very close to Frank, but I wouldn't have given him my position if it weren't for." If it weren't for what? I'm a very lonely woman. My husband has been neglecting me for countless years and has multiple lovers. When Frank came to submit his application, I fell under his influence, and he took advantage of your absence to convince me to have a relationship with him. I succumbed to him because I haven't received such attention in years. But he wasn't interested in me, but rather in my position. He started threatening me, saying he would inform my husband and the parent company. The scandal would ruin me in every way, so I gave in to his demands and employed him in the position. And you destroyed our work to save yourself. Yes, I'm sorry. Maria traveled, and less than a year later, the company closed down due to financial failure, caused by poor management by Frank and those he brought in to assist him after dismissing all the old staff. I was wrong to be reassured because my manager was a woman. Everyone can be weakened regardless of their gender, and they can forget the world entirely when promises of happiness loom before them.